We literally live in an era where speed defines our expectations, right? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a hard look at the massive shift towards fast payment systems. We're talking apps like Venmo, digital wallets, and those super easy contactless cards. They're all fueled by our constant demand for instant gratification. But, as we're about to see, that incredible convenience, it carries a surprisingly steep price tag. Here's our quick agenda for today. We'll start with the need for speed, uncover the hidden privacy cost, examine the threat of data breaches, look at regulations and consumer rights, and finally show you exactly how to protect your personal data. Section 1. The need for speed and instant gratification.
Let's be honest, we all love convenience. Nobody wants to wait days for a transaction to clear anymore, do we? We want that perfectly seamless, frictionless tap-and-go experience. But here's the thing. That establishes the absolute core trade-off of our modern digital lives. It's a constant balancing act between that beloved speed on one side and the hidden data costs that directly impact our privacy and security on the other.
Moving right along to Section 2. The hidden privacy cost of data collection. Just think for a second about the sheer volume of sensitive personal information we trade away literally just to avoid a little friction at checkout. I mean, to even set up a fast payment account, you are routinely handing over your name, your address, your direct bank details, and yeah, often even your social security number. That is an absolutely massive data deposit, and that happens before you've even spent a single dime.
And guess what? They don't just stop at collection. It's really more of a continuous, three-step loop. After gathering all that initial data, these platforms actively track your behavior and your entire transaction history. And why do they do that? Usually, it's to optimize the user experience and hyper-target you with ads. Then we hit step 3, which is sharing that very data with a bunch of third-party partners to build incredibly detailed, highly exploitable user profiles. So many of these apps market themselves as entirely free, right? Well, that's kind of just an illusion. When you tap your phone to pay a friend for a cup of coffee without paying a transaction fee, you're actually paying. You're just paying with your data, which is instantly being broadcasted across a massive network of vendors. Which brings us to Section 3, the threat of data breaches and vulnerable information. The crazy rapid sharing and processing of data inside these fast payment systems creates some inevitable weak points. And trust me, cybercriminals know exactly how to exploit them. The huge rise in fast payments has actually coincided with a massive increase in cyber threats overall. We only have to look at those high-profile, real-world breaches at major companies like Target, Equifax, and Yahoo to see the damage. Even though fast payment platforms love to heavily promote their advanced encryption and fraud detection tech, those historical examples prove pretty clearly that absolutely no system is totally infallible. When we, as everyday consumers, blindly prioritize speed above all else, we tend to completely overlook the security measures, or sometimes the total lack of them. And the consequences are genuinely severe. A data breach isn't just a minor inconvenience. It leads directly to identity theft, devastating financial fraud, and a total loss of consumer trust. You really have to ask yourself, are those few seconds you save at the checkout counter truly worth the permanence of a data leak and the absolute nightmare of financial fraud? Let's head into Section 4, regulations and consumer rights surrounding data security. To try and build some kind of defense against all this exploitation, governing bodies are finally stepping in. It starts most notably with Europe's major privacy law, the GDPR. Now, this is a super vital piece of legislation. It's designed to essentially force transparency around data collection and give everyday consumers the actual legal right to control their own information. Over in the United States, we're seeing an equivalent effort with the California Consumer Privacy Act, or the CCPA. But while it does grant consumers specific rights over their personal data on paper, there is a pretty harsh reality here. Enforcement of this act remains highly inconsistent, and sadly, most consumers are completely unaware that these rights even exist in the first place. All right, our final section, number 5, protecting your personal data with a cautious approach. Because the incredible allure of fast payments can lead to some really dangerous complacency regarding our personal data, you've got to adopt a much more cautious approach. So, here are 3 practical, actionable steps you need to take right now. First step, regularly review the privacy settings on all your payment apps. You need to control exactly what you're sharing. Second, always use strong, completely unique passwords for your financial applications. And third, absolutely enable two-factor authentication, or 2FA, literally whenever it's an option, no exceptions. Now, looking ahead a bit, the landscape is definitely going to undergo some significant changes. We're seeing innovations like blockchain technology and decentralized finance, or DeFi, emerging as models that really prioritize user privacy. These technologies could eventually allow us to conduct those fast, secure transactions without revealing any of our personal information at all. But look, that transition is going to take some time. In the interim, you absolutely must remain incredibly vigilant about your privacy.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with one final critical thought. The convenience of fast payments is fundamentally reshaping how we live. There's no denying that. But it demands a careful consideration of the risks involved. You really have to ask yourself, is the speed of your next instant transaction truly worth the potential exposure of your entire digital identity? Just think about that for a second the next time you tap to pay. Thank you so much for joining me today, and stay secure out there.